im se svima, i malima i velikima, i bogatima i siromašnima, i slobodnjacima i robovima, dade žig na njihovu desnu ruku ili na čela njihova, te da nitko ne može ništa kupiti ili prodati, osim onoga ko ima žig ili ime zvijeri ili broj imena njezina.
Pozdrav dragi narode, dobrodošli u još jednu epizodu Slobodni. Što će se događati na geoekonomskom planu nakon što je Donald J. Trump preuzeo Bijelu kuću? To je tema današnje emisije. Moj današnji gost je i ekonomski stručnjak i poduzetnik i autor koji je istraživao što se događalo do sada i predviđa što možemo u skorijoj i daljoj budućnosti vidjeti na ekonomskom planu nakon promjena koje su se dogodile u Sjedinjenim državama. Njegovo ime je gospodin Thierry Laurent Pellet. Hello Thierry, welcome to Croatia again.
It's always a pleasure, in fact, to discuss with you, Andrija, and especially today because it seems to me that the situation that we are living in Ukraine right now is exactly the situation that you in Croatia have been living through the crisis in Yugoslavia. You have been going through 10 very painful years from 91 to 2001, facing terrible conflict, and which has been leading, in fact, to the dismantling of Yugoslavia. This country has been split into different small countries, which has been a great opportunity for United States, in fact, to control them, because it was opening new markets for McDonald's, for Chevron, and this is actually the modus operandi that the United States is setting up, in fact, to grow on an economical point of view. And this has been lasting, actually, for the last 30 years. And what we are seeing in Ukraine is an identical situation, but not so much. As for the outcome, I am going to go through this story. So what we are seeing here in Ukraine is that this is a country that has been sold as with a certain unicity, which is not the case, actually. Because if you look at it on the historical point of view, you understand that this is a geopolitical construction that has been built over time. And this has been starting with the dismantling of the Austro-Hungarian Empire after the First World War. So basically what we are seeing is a patchwork of different pieces of Bolshevik. So basically you see in Transcarpathian mountains, you're going to see Hungarian population. In Volhyny, Galicia, you will find a Polish population. In the center of Ukraine, you will find, of course, Ukrainian. In the south center, Romanian. Everything that is eastern of the Dnieper is constituted of a Russophonic population, knowing that pieces of Russia has been separated in the way that the entity Ukraine that was set up during the USSR was able, in fact, to exist on the economical point of view, because that was only agricultural lands, and they were not able, in fact, to sustain themselves. So basically, all the media and the government, they have been selling this unicity, which is a major mistake, because this is not the case. Until 2013, 2014, all those populations, they were living together without any problem, and I can talk about it because I've been living there during 10 years. At the moment, United States and the European have been deciding, in fact, to split Ukraine from the CIS bloc to reattach it to Europe. It has been causing a lot of problem. And actually, I didn't understand at the beginning, because on the financial point of view, it was not making sense, due to the fact that Russia has been financing the governments of Ukraine during 20 years. They were providing very cheap gas, which is necessary for the winter, because this country is very cold and they need heater that is working on the Russian gas. The two countries were pretty friendly on the social point of view, because a lot of family have been mixed. So you have Russian and Ukrainian mixed within, in fact, the social structure of Ukraine. And on top of it, a lot of companies, and especially in the military domain, were working for Russia. So basically, I didn't see the real reason for which, in fact, Ukraine would be splitting from its motherlands, because from all the factors that I have been announcing, it was not making any sense. But The oligarch in Ukraine, they have been understanding that it was a fantastic opportunity to pump the money that will be flowing in Ukraine. So basically, this is a greed and the corruption within, in fact, the Ukrainian governments and the oligarch that has been helping, in fact, the shift to the European Union. And on top of it, we need to look at this on the global picture. It was a great opportunity to Europe, in fact, to build a sort of wall to destabilize Russia in the way that they will be replacing their government and they will pump, in fact, all the natural resources. And this is where I want to come. This war between Ukraine and Russia is not about population, it's not about territory. It is about transversal entities led by the globalists that wanted, in fact, to dismantle Russia and Ukraine to make sure they will be able, in fact, to pump all the natural resources, meaning uranium, gas, oil, all the agriculture products, and so on. So basically, as European Union, we are promising, in fact, the stability, prosperity, peace, and so on, because of incompetence. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
What happens?
Hoću.
Oh, yeah. What happened?
Just make a refresh, please.
Do you see me?
Yes, I see you. Okay.
Okay.
Let's continue.
So basically, the outcome of this crisis is such that Ukraine will be completely dismantled and ruined. Its population has been migrating outside of Ukraine, and it will be absolutely impossible to rebuild it due to the fact that there will be no population to do it. The economical infrastructure has been completely destroyed. And this country, due to the fact that they wanted, in fact, to apply to NATO membership, has been jeopardizing the balance of the security in Europe. And this, for Russia, was not acceptable. Let's go through this issue because it's very important.
Okay, I will just one question, Thierry. Do we have any information how many people left Ukraine?
So I have very good numbers about that. The Ukrainian population before the coup of Maidan was 46 million. After the coup, between 2014 and 2015, there is about 4 million people that has been shifting and going to Russia, as surprising as it is. Because don't forget what was the coup about. We had extremists, far right, that has been taking over the country. And this, for the people that were living on the value of USSR, was not acceptable. Nazism is out of the question for Orthodox and Slavian population. After the coup of Maidan, during 8 years, there were another 2 million people that has been shifting from the Donbass directly to Russia. So basically, this is 6 million.
6 million.
At the moment, the conflict has been reigniting, meaning 2022, 2023. Another 4 million people has been shifting to Russia. So basically, today we know that there is about 10 to 11 million Ukrainian people that are living in Russia. In Europe, we have been facing something like 6 million people that has been coming to our territories. So basically, if we look at the big picture, from 46 million before the coup of Maidan, it has been dropping to 28 million. Because on top of it, there is a lot of casualties that are linked to the conflict. And actually, this is why I'm very angry toward, in fact, the mainstream media, because they have been lying the number of casualties. Yeah. They are still selling the fact that Ukraine is winning, that everything is okay, when in fact they are facing 1.3 million people that has been killed in combat.
I heard from
the civilian population, there is not, sorry?
I heard from Trump, he was giving a speech to Davos, and he said there that media is lying and official sources are lying, and they said below 1 million casualties, but he said that it's over the million and it's a disaster. That means your numbers, what you are saying, I heard already from President of the United States.
And you know, I was watching the Ukrainian television in November 2023, and on 1+1 channel, which is one of the major channels in Ukraine, I saw that there was already 1.1 million casualties in Ukraine. It's not coming from me, it's not coming from USA, it's not coming from France, it was coming from the Ukrainian channel. So basically, it seems to me that the media, led by the governments, they are pushing to make sure that the outcome of the war will be reversing, which is not the case because it's a question of supply chain. Russia do not have any problem, in fact, to supply their army when, in fact, on the Ukrainian side, due to the disparity of the different sources that brings, in fact, the military gears, there is a major problem, and there is also a problem of training. So basically, this is the reason why those guys cannot win this war. And on top of it, there is the question of motivation. We know, for example, that the TCC, meaning it's an organization within the Ukrainian army that is supposed, in fact, to recruit the people. And we see every day's video running around showing that the people that don't want to go to die for Zelensky, who is not officially the president of Ukraine because his function has been seized about more than a year ago. Okay? So basically, let's focus right now on the real reason of this conflict.
Okay.
And the real reason is an economical one, which is very difficult to understand because people are not aware of or not educated regarding, in fact, this matter.
Let's explain, people. So you prepared one presentation with a detailed explanation what is really happening now from economical side and what you're expecting it will happen very soon.
Okay, so let's look at the slide number 5. In year 2000, the euro currency has been implemented, in fact, to favorize the exchange between the different countries in Europe.
Okay, just give us slide number 5.
Yes. And basically, because of the introduction of this currency, the dollar reserve has been shrinking and losing about 14%. And we need to understand that after the Second World War, the Americans have been deciding that every natural resources, what we call commodities, needed in fact to be exchanged in dollar. And that was helping them, in fact, to support their economy. So basically, before to buy any kind of commodities, it can be oats, it can be wheat, it can be gas, it can be oil or whatever, you had in fact to translate your own currency into dollar. And then after you were able, in fact, to run the transaction to acquire whatsoever commodities you wanted to. So this mechanism was implemented and helped America, in fact, to sustain their debt. As soon as, in fact, there was a demand in dollar, the Federal Bank was throwing the dollar on the market, and therefore they would have been able, in fact, to propose bonds, in fact, to support their debt and therefore their growth. Okay.
Yes, and we see on this
mechanism.
We see on this graph this quantity of reserves in euros and in dollars, and we can see that until year 2024 it dropped down significantly.
Significantly, exact. So you see that the euro has been taking a big piece of this market, and the dollar went from 72%, 73% to 58%. Okay? So Germany was starting, in fact, to shadow ban the American economy because it was growing in a significant manner. And this was due to the fact that Merkel decided, in fact, to produce energy with the Russian gas, which was very cheap. So therefore, their economy was very competitive. And the Rand Institute have been focusing on setting up a project to separate Germany of Russia. And the only way they have been finding to proceed was to trigger a major conflict. And the Rand Institute has been packaging numbers of sanctions that were ready much before the SVO operation that Russia has been conducting starting on the 24th of February. We need to know one thing, is that the 4 days before the intervention of Russia on the Ukrainian territory, the Ukrainians restarted to bomb massively the Republic of Donetsk and Lugansk. They were not, they didn't have as a project to respect the Minsk agreement. The only thing that they wanted to do is to retake the control of every natural resources that were exploited by most of the oligarchs in the Donbass. And I name Kolomoisky and Akhmetov. They were the owner of most of the assets that were exploited in this region. So, at the moment this conflict erupts, Vladimir Putin has been telling Xi Jinping that there will be certainly a conflict that is going to happen. And what we have been observing right before, and this is very important to understand that, is that Xi Jinping has been giving order to get rid of a massive part of the bonds that they have been buying from United States. And this has been scaring massively America, because that was a destabilization on a monetary point of view that would have been jeopardizing their economy. So basically, within the package of sanctions, what we have been seeing is that United States have been proposing to block the traffic of the Belt and Road Initiative. In 2016, Vladimir Putin has been seeing that the tension will be rising and rising. He didn't want a conflict, despite the fact that he was knowing what was happening within Donbass. He was building this, China and Russia has been building this infrastructure that was supporting all the traffic of merchandise from China to Europe. And this project was very, very important for us Europeans. I explain. When you bring merchandise from Benji to Europe by boat, you have in fact to sail all around the planet, going through the Suez Channel and goes to Rotterdam. This was taking about 55 days. But with the train, it was taking 22. So basically, on the cash flow point of view, it was very interesting for our companies to use this traffic, because companies were buying smaller stock and therefore not immobilizing a lot of money, due to the fact that the product they were buying were going on the shelves extremely fast, and they were able, in fact, to renew it much faster. With the crisis that is occurring in Israel right now, the Suez Channel is blocked. And now what we're seeing is that the boats, the main container carrier, they have to go around Africa, which is increasing significantly the price of the transportation. And therefore, this is the reason why we are facing major inflation. So when I hear that the heads of the BCE, Christine Lagarde, that I know very well because I've met with her in 2005 in USA, is saying she don't understand why in fact inflation continue in fact to grow, then you have in fact the answer. It's here. So basically, the conflict that has been erupting in Israel is costing the shipping industry $18 billion a month. And this cost is, of course, spread over customers.
Okay,
let's look at the way it has been.
Thierry, it's very important to explain again. The major reason of global inflation, it's because now Suez Channel is blocked because of crisis in Gaza. And there is additional cost.
There is the Suez Channel. And there is the Suez Channel block, but there is also the Belt and Road Initiative that has been blocked too. Look at the map.
Okay.
This is a slide number 7.
Okay, let's see. Slide number 7.
You see the two red cross. You have one on the Suez Channel, and there is the blockade that has been set up in Kazakhstan. Mm-hmm. So therefore, the containers, they don't go straight to Moscow and then to Lust in Poland. They go from Kazakhstan, they go down to the Caspian Sea. Then they are loaded on a ship. They are crossing, in fact, the Caspian Sea. Then they are reloaded in Baku. They cross Azerbaijan, they cross Georgia, and they are reloaded again on other boats that go straight, in fact, to the port of Burga in Bulgaria and Constanța in Romania. So basically, for each segment of the supply chain, there is a cost that is associated to the change of vector. If you go from train to boat, you have in fact to use a rich stacker. This is costing, if I remember well, I think it's $60 per container. But if you reproduce this 5 to 6 times, then your container is going to cost something like €300 on top of the cost that were set up much before, in fact, this blockade.
And this cost will spread. This cost will be spread to all products, and this will be cause of sources of inflation, of course.
On top of it, now there is sanction on top of the Russian oil and gas. So basically, those people within the European Union, they are so smart that what they are doing, they are buying the Russian gas through hubs in China and in India. So India is receiving the crude oil, they are refining it, and then after they send it back to Europe. And of course, there is some cost associated to the supply chain because the gas goes from Russia to India, and then after go back in Europe. This is completely stupid. So basically, we are people that are deciding within the European Union that the sanctions are the greatest things they ever done to Russia. It's not true.
Thierry.
It's not true. It doesn't. On top of it, the network of supply chain is so diversified today that there is always a way, in fact, to circumvent, in fact, the sanction. So that was a very stupid move.
Please, can you explain again and repeat? Thierry, just a second. Please repeat.
Yes.
What decision was made in the European Commission concerning sanctions? They decided to buy the same resources, oil and gas, but with additional cost of production in India and where else? In China?
In China. Yeah. So basically, there is a level of hypocrisy here that is completely stupid. They are saying, "Oh, we don't want to buy the gas straightforward, the gas and the oil straightforward to Russia. We are going to buy the same product that is coming from another place." But the Chinese and the Indians, they are applying cost to the transaction. So basically, what we are paying is a supplement of cost that is linked to the transaction itself. This is completely ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So basically, on top of it, this is increasing the cost of the transport, because if you have to go back and forth from Russia to India and India back to Europe, you need, in fact, to pay for the transportation of the final product.
And of course, there is this additional cost, what we already mentioned, because of blockade of this belt agreement and also Suez Channel.
Exact. If you accumulate both, and if you accumulate on top of it the cost of energy that goes inside the process of production and transportation for any kind of product that is made in Europe, then you get an inflation that is killing our economy. And on top of it, those guys that were supposed, in fact, to make sure we will be using diplomacy to avoid a conflict, and they are making us paying for it. You know, honestly speaking, it was very easy, in fact, to avoid this conflict. Macron has been going to Russia and speak to Vladimir Putin. You remember this gigantic table?
Yes, I remember.
And he says to him, do not react to the provocation that the Ukrainians are going to make. So basically, Macron was knowing that the Ukrainians will be attacking, and he was asking Vladimir Putin, please, don't react, let them do it. Mm-hmm. And you think that the former colonel and the director of KGB would be accepting its population, because the people in Donbass are Russian. Mm-hmm. He will be accepting that those people will be completely killed in the way that the oligarch will be using the assets of this region against. Instead of this, Macron should have been going to Kiev and say to Zelensky, now you are going to apply the Minsk agreement, you are going to set the federalization of Ukraine the way it's done in Russia or in the United States, and therefore we will be continuing, in fact, to finance you, to develop your economy, and everybody is going to be happy family. No, the plan was about to make sure the destabilization of Ukraine will be full, because they had as a plan to make sure that Vladimir Putin will be interfering, and inside, on a political point of view, population will be retaliating against him to kick him out. But they haven't been understanding the Russian mentality. Look at what has been happening during the invasion of Napoleon and Hitler. Those guys, they have been sacrificing themselves to the point that 23 million people died during the Second World War, and they have been stopping Hitler. So people that are able to sacrifice such an amount of people, trust me, you will never win against them. It's impossible.
Yes, understand. Okay,
so let's go back, in fact, to the plan that has been executed within the European Union and the United States.
Okay.
And you are going to ask me the question, how come, in fact, the European Commission didn't say to Americans, we are not going to apply your sanction because this is going to kill us.
Yeah.
You need to be smart when you have to make a political move. You need to understand what are the consequences to defend your own interests. No, because of corruption. There is about 40% of all the European deputies that are on the payroll of Soros. So therefore, those guys, they have been applying the sanction like little boys and little soldiers. So within the Rand Institute, and actually if you read my book, you will see in fact the document. They were saying explicitly that they wanted to split the relationship between Germany and Russia. And as a consequence, the European economy will be dropping and being destroyed. And therefore, the capital that were sitting in Europe will be shifting to United States. So now look at the evolution of the Dow Jones during this period.
Okay.
You can look at the slide number 9. Can you show the, voila, here we go. So basically, the start of the Ukrainian conflict in 2022, we see that the Dow Jones is reacting not in favor because, investors, they don't like instability. And then there was the crash, the destruction of Nord Stream that was very detrimental to the European economy. But don't forget, European economy is contributing to the American economy because there is a lot of companies that are operating in Europe. So basically, this move was very stupid. But as in fact, the military complex in the US have been asking to support Ukraine, in fact, most of the fund that has been assigned to Ukraine has been, in fact, shifting to all the companies that are supporting the military complex in the US. And on top of it, we saw $400 billion that has been shifting from Europe to United States. And this is at that moment that you see the big peak of the Dow Jones in the period starting end of 2023. Look at it. Mm-hmm. So basically, the plan has been executed in a wonderful manner. Now, what we're seeing is that there is a lot of companies in Europe that are in need of very cheap energy to operate and to make sure that they can sell their product that are rushing in China and United States. And actually, in the plan of the Rand Institute, they were also saying that they were expecting that because the European economy will be dropping, most of the students that has been well educated will shift to America to fulfill better opportunities for them in terms of career. Well, this is happening. So basically, we have been the scapegoat of this entire crisis. And now this is the European population that are going to pay for it. Nevertheless, despite all those mistakes, they didn't think that Vladimir Putin was smart enough to counterpart, in fact, the sanction. And what has been happening, they have been structuring numbers of transversal organizations and gather a maximum of countries, in fact, to follow up on the way that the BRICS will be evolving. And actually, the summit of Kazan was a sort of vitrine to explain to the world that today, 85% of the population decided, in fact, to follow up on Russia because they are very sick and tired to see an hegemonic behavior destroying countries after countries. And we will go through this process. Okay. So basically,
just to say to our audience, there was a big summit in Kazan, and it was a summit of BRICS countries. And now you will explain which countries are now applying to become a member or are interested in, and also why.
Okay, so basically, the BRICS, they have been showing that they were working along 5-6 axes. First of all, due to the fact that there were sanctions during the Olympics, Russia decided, in fact, to organize what we call the BRICS Olympic. And 90 countries have been participating to those games right before the Paris Olympic, which ceremony was just discussing. They have been setting up a mechanism of diplomacy, and they have been showing that without the European, the UN, okay, United Nations, they were able, in fact, to solve conflicts that hasn't been solved for the last 20 years. that was exactly what has been happening between Iran and Saudi Arabia and India and China. All those people now, they are able, in fact, to speak with each other and decide to do business together. They have been putting together a new development bank that is the equivalent of the IFM to finance all the infrastructure projects within the community that has been constituted within the BRICS and all their associates. And we will see that the number of countries that want to follow up on the association to the BRICS is absolutely enormous.
Okay, let's see the slide. Let's see the slide with these countries.
There is something that I want to insist. They are putting together, and this is very, very important. They are putting together a platform that will help us, in fact, to trade the commodities, meaning natural resources. And they will use an electronic token to support the transaction to make sure they will get rid of the dollar. And they will go through a new system that is not the SWIFT. This is called mira. Okay. What is the impact of this story? Because this is a very, very big story. Mm-hmm. So you wanted to see the countries that has been applying to Kazan. Please go to the slide number 13.
Okay.
So within the BRICS now, that are 10, except Saudi Arabia that hasn't been signing completely. Okay, we have 8 countries that are in the top 10 for certain and top 20 for others, producer of oil and gas. Within the official demand that has been done, we have 10 guys that has been accepted. And within those 10 guys, the 17 guys that are applying, most of them are producing oil and gas. Mm-hmm. And for the published interest, we have another something like 22 countries. So if you look at the total, it is about 51 countries that want to be part of this non-invasive and non-constraintful organization. It is based on commercial project, which is exactly what was the deal at the Constitution of Europe, and it has been drifting to a sort of, I would say, forced democracy shifting to a technocracy. So the mechanism that was implemented until now to help the emerging country to grow their economy was going through the loans that IFM was providing for them. Mm-hmm. But as those countries are not developed, they didn't have, in fact, all the industries necessary, in fact, to build their infrastructure. So basically, all the westernized countries, they were telling those emerging countries, we can provide for you all the necessary in the way that we can build your infrastructure, and you will be able, in fact, to extract all the minerals and the commodities necessary for our economy. And therefore, the money that was lent within the IFM was going straight forward, in fact, to Western companies that were beneficiating of those funds. On top of it, those countries, they were having to pay the debt that was linked, in fact, to the loan. And those countries, they have been pumping all the resources and sell it within their own market, detrimentally to those countries that got just only small royalties. And what China is doing through the Belt Initiative and the mechanism that has been implemented within the BRICS, they are emitting bonds in dollar. They are giving the dollar to those countries. So basically, they can reimburse the loan immediately to the IFM. So the federal bank is emitting the dollar to China. China is giving those dollars to those emerging countries. The emerging countries are sending back the dollar to the IFM, who give it back to the federal bank. But in exchange, not only they don't have to pay the interest of the debt, but on top of it, they are dealing with China, saying, we are going to reimburse you, but instead of reimbursing you in dollar, we are going to reimburse you with commodities, natural resources. So basically, the federal bank is printing money that is coming back to them immediately. And the Chinese, they get, in fact, the advantage of developing their economy based on the natural resources they are getting from this country. And they develop their internal economy because they are providing job to their own citizens. And they are minimizing the debt that has been contracted to the IFM, to those countries. Everybody is happy family. They are washing up the debt in dollar. And this is going to be a major problem in the future because Americans, they will not be able, in fact, to sustain their standard of living.
Okay. Can you explain now what will happen after Trump took over White House? He announced some changes. For example, he just now put tariffs on Canada and Mexico, and he's planning to put tariffs on also European Union.
Well, this is the story of tariff is very particular. I'm going to try to explain. It depends on the indexation of your commercial balance. If you are a small country and your economy depends on whatsoever you are going to export to America, of course the sanctions are going to work. And this is what has been happening with the story of the migrant, the illegal immigrant in the United States coming from Colombia, that Trump wanted, in fact, to kick out of the country. And he said to the president of Colombia, you take back those bandits, or I am going to impose those tariffs and I am going to kill your economy. As Colombia is exporting a maximum of commodities to America, of course this is working, because if we put tariff, then in fact the state is going to be blocked. And as this is not essential kind of commodities, there is other sources that you can find all over the places and favorize your new sources and kill, in fact, the economy of Colombia. When it's about China or Russia, it's another story. China, for example, there is a deficit trade balance in favor of China. And the deficit is about $300 billion. What does it mean? China produces most of the goods that are consumed all over the planet. So basically, the source existing is almost unique. You put tariff on China, China is going to say, guys, I don't care, because you are going to be obliged to buy my product. But who is going to pay for the tariff? Because the tariff is a tax, okay? So if a product is costing X and you put 100% of X, your consumer are going to pay X plus 100% of X, meaning 2X. But who that is going to be detrimental, in fact, to the American economy, because this is going to shrink the buying capacity of each consumer within the United States. And as there is no other source, what are you going to do? You cannot do anything. So basically, tariff with China is not going to work. For Russia, it's not going to work either, because they don't exchange anything right now but uranium. And uranium, if America is not buying uranium to Russia, what is going to happen? They will not have energy. And therefore, this is going to destroy their economy, because the economy is indexed on the cost of energy. Same thing for the oil. The strike price to extract the oil in the United States is $66. In Russia, it's $41. So therefore, if Trump decided, in fact, to flow massively the market with oil, what is going to happen? The price is going to drop. But if it drops below $66, Americans are going to lose money because they will sell their oil at a loss. When the difference between the strike price of Russia and United States is still $15. $15, you know, Russia can say, okay, go drop, in fact, the price of oil. I don't care. I continue to make money. So this is ridiculous and doesn't work. And our problem right now is that Biden has been putting a ban on export of GL and gas in Europe. And because of election, he wanted to make sure that the price of commodities for energy will be dropping in the way that he will be re-elected, or electing, in fact, his counterpart, Kamala. And on top of it, Zelensky decided to blackmail the European Union by shutting down the pipeline that was flowing Slovakia and Hungary. So basically, this guy tried to protect his own position, saying, I want to be part of NATO, and if you are not accepting me inside of NATO, I will block the gas. Therefore, he's putting a lot of pressure because he wants to push the European Union to trigger a major conflict with Russia, which should be which would be a gigantic mistake, because we wouldn't be able, in fact, to counterpart the military capacity of Russia.
Yeah,
Okay?
he first tried to bribe Fico. He was his prime minister of Slovakia, and then now he's blackmailing him.
Exactly. So basically, these guys see that, in fact, corruption in Slovakia does not work. And the money that was on the table was substantial, because he was proposing something like $500 million. And the guy said, no, you are not. Because if you do, this means that we are going to be at war with Russia. And I want to protect my own population. So basically, you need to comply with the rules.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what is now your expectation?
So look at the impact.
Thierry, we need to go through the details now for the end. What is your expectation? How long this conflict in Ukraine will last? Because, as I understand, you are not expecting...
You mean how is of the story?
Yeah, yes.
So first of all, the gas supply in Europe is at the lowest level, which has been triggering a major economical crisis, and this will continue. We have within the European blocs most of the members that want to continue to support Ukraine, and those who are smart enough to understand that enough is enough, and we will go to major internal problem, because if your economy is dropping and destroyed, then you have a political problem. Your people are not going to vote for you. So therefore, this is becoming an internal political problem. This is what's happening with Scholz. He knows that now with AfD, he's going to be kicked out of the picture. And this is due to a massive unemployment that has been triggered due to the economical collapse of Germany. Besides that, Trump now, due to the mechanism that the BRICS have been putting together, he has absolutely no leverage. On the economical point of view, United States is a sort of a tiger made of paper. If you really look at the numbers, don't look at the Dow Jones, because this is like a fake image of the real economy. If you understand a little bit the economy, you look at the ISM, you look at the indebtedness of the public, you look at the commercial real estate debting, and so on. If you look at the global picture in the US, you know that they are going to face major economical problem. So basically, Trump wants to save the face, showing that he's very strong, because internally, he has a lot of headwinds, especially coming from the Democrats. And this is the reason why he has been naming Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel, because he wants to show the American people that the level of corruption that has been supporting the effort of war in Ukraine was just absolutely disgusting, and the taxpayer money has been completely spread and wasted inefficiently, and on top of it has been beneficiating people that shouldn't have been getting rich. Okay? So internally, he has a problem, and externally, he is facing a country called Russia that wants to secure its environment in the future and definitively. And this means to cut the access to the Black Sea to Ukrainian, because they will continue by terrorist attack to unsecure the peninsula of Crimea. So basically, the trade-off is going to be extremely difficult. I do believe that he's going to drop Ukraine, and the way I've been saying it to the SBU when they arrested me in 2015, I told them, guys, you are pushing Russia to the limit, and one day you are going to regret it, because they are the Russians, they're going to be kicking your ass. And after that, if Americans, they are supporting you, at a point in time, due to the cost, they are going to drop you, and that will be your problem. Now, the problem that the Europeans, they are seeing is that if Russia is winning this war, and they are going to win the war, this is going to jeopardize the position of most of the politicians within this organization. And I do believe that due to economical turmoil, the euro is going to be destroyed, and it's going to disappear. And therefore, the European Union is going to disappear too. So basically, the next 5 years are going to be at a very high risk, because those guys, they want to double down and make sure that this is not going to happen. When, in fact, the dice are thrown on the table, it's already done. It's a done deal.
There is one more.
So
it's one very important question for Croatia. We are listening a lot of discussion that Russia has aspiration on other countries. That means they want to continue this war if they win against Ukraine. What is your opinion about this?
This is completely stupid. Completely stupid. You know what is interesting with Vladimir Putin? He is like a glass of water. You can go through and you can see it through. He says exactly what he will do, and he does it. And this is what General Vallely in the US, because I am one of his advisors, okay? This guy has been, this general has been organizing the first meeting between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin during the Valdai 2016. And I say to Paul, you know, this guy is so easy to understand. He wants to protect his population, and he wants to make sure that the security in Europe will be set up as a unicity, meaning there is not the security of one bloc against another. The security has to be handled in a global manner, in the way that nobody can feel any threat from each other. So he will stop in Ukraine. This is what he has been saying. And actually, it has been almost 3 years, more than 3 years, that this conflict has been starting. If Vladimir Putin wanted to crush Ukraine, he would have been ordering what we call carpet bombing. Carpet bombing is very simple. You load your bombers and you erase, in fact, the cities. You go to Kiev, you erase the city. 5 minutes after, Zelensky is in the streets begging to stop. Did he do it? No, he don't want to do that. His goal is about to secure his population, and it's about to destroy the threat that NATO has been putting together by the provocation that has been made through the Ukrainian army. Do you see Vladimir Putin ordering the invasion of Poland? You know how many people it would need, in fact, to do that? You need an army of 15 million people. It's impossible.
Okay.
If you want to invade Europe, look at Hitler. He has been crushing. Why? Because lack of resources. It's impossible.
I understand. Well,
not
for the end.
It's impossible.
For the end, but not the least important. If you would be in position of Croatian Prime Minister, who is now have a really pro-Ukrainian policy, and he's helping a lot, and he's following leadership of Ursula von der Leyen. What, with this knowledge, what would you do in his position to be the best way to save Croatia for the future?
It's a question of economy. You need energy, and cheap energy. Because Croatia, and I know Croatia very well because I've been meeting with few of your ministers. This is a country that is facing a global immigration, because there is not enough job for the young people when they graduate. So there is less and less people living in the country. Therefore, you need cheap energy. You need to develop your tourism. Who was coming to Croatia? Because it's a beautiful country. Most of your customers, they were tourists coming from Russia. You want to cut off your source of revenue? This is stupid. What I would do, I would say, sorry guys, enough. We need stability. We need to respect our own interest. We need to make sure we are establishing good relationship with Russia because they are our customer. They are the people that are coming to our country during summer times, that are spending a lot of money. And as we don't have the capacity, in fact, to support such an effort of war, because we are a small country and we don't have the economy of France or Germany, who are already jeopardized at the point, I am not sure that France is not going to go through bankruptcy in the next 3 to 4 years. So basically what you want to achieve, just make sure to protect your own interest. And your own interest is to stay neutral in this story. And on top of it, what I would do, I will call, in fact, the Chinese government, and I will say, guys, we need to work on, be part of the Belt and Road Initiative, because this is going to put a lot of dynamics within our port, but we want to do it in the proper manner. We don't want to be squeezed, because, you know, Chinese, they have a propension, in fact, to make sure that they will be wiping you out. You need to be very careful with this. But look at the well-being of your citizen. You need to make sure your economy is working fine. Because if your policy is about, in fact, to go against your interest, because von der Leyen has been deciding to absorb 6 or 7 other countries, and some that are located in Central Asia, actually, Georgia has been refusing the deal. They say, no, in this condition, we don't want to deal with you. Because don't forget, it is not about an economical integration that they try to put together. This is a project of the globalists to make sure they will be imposing a one government worldwide. So basically, this is the reason why you see social implementation that are constraining most of the citizens in Europe. You don't have the right to say this, you don't have the right to say that. If you are voting in the wrong manner, then we are canceling.
Well, thank you, Thierry. It was really interesting conversation, and we heard lots of new interesting information who are very important for our country. And continue with your work. We'll be in touch. Evo, dragi narode, ovo je jako važna informacija koju smo danas podijelili sa sasvim drugog kuta, pogotovo ekonomskog, jer svi smo svjesni toga na koga se naš premijer i vladajuća stranka kladili. Kladili su se na Europsku komisiju, kladili su se na euro i kladili su se na Zelenskog. Da li to bila dobra oklada? Vrlo skoro ćemo vidjeti, jer ako se stvari koje smo sad čuli ostvare, Hrvatska će biti u vrlo nezgodnoj situaciji. Mi još uvijek podržavamo ukrajinsku vladu, dakle gospodina Zelenskog, podržavamo i financijski i politički, i kao što čujemo premijera, nastavit ćemo tako, a kamo će nas to odvesti u novim geopolitičkim okolnostima, vidjet ćemo. Međutim, ne izgleda dobro, bar iz ovoga što smo danas čuli od gospodina Thierryja. Zato je važno da naša pozicija bude jasna, da vidite da ovaj rat o kojem vam mediji govore nije baš onako kako govore, već je tu puno šira slika. Ekonomski interesi su na prvom mjestu, kao što čujete, i ekonomski razlozi su na prvom mjestu. Sve ostalo je samo kamuflaža kako bi vas, obične ljude, informirali i emotivno involvirali, jer naravno tko želi stradanje, tko želi rat, međutim oni koji upravljaju sa procesima, njima ljudski životi ne znače puno. Nadam se da ste uživali u današnjem intervjuu, zato što ste čuli neke sigurno stvari koje niste do sada. Ja ću nastaviti dalje otvarati teme koje ne možete naći u mainstreamu, a evo čuli ste i razloge zašto to radim. Hvala lijepo na pažnji i uskoro se vidimo u sljedećoj epizodi Slobodni.
Nitko vas neće natjerati da se poklonite zvijeri, učinit ćete to svojevoljno, odbacujući vjeru. Bićete laka meta za zvijeri, jer se niste podredili vjeri. Ako se ne podredite vjeri, podredit ćete se zvijeri. Toliko ćete se suobličiti sa ovim svijetom, da nećete ni prepoznati da ste u zabludi. Biće to najveća demonska prevara ikada i pravedno zaslužena osuda nad nepokajanim grešnicima.
Gdje su svi oni koji su nas